Swinging a ground ball, stabbed by Folk. He has it. He underhands to first, and the Boston Red Sox are the world champions for the first time in 86 years.
Together they have, and together they stand alone on top of the mountain for now. And once again, the Boston Celtics stand alone for all time. It is banner 18.
No icing. For the first time in 39 years, the Boston Bruins have won the Stanley Cup.
And a title for the Patriots!
I can't believe it!
They have completed the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history.
Good evening, listeners. Welcome into episode 39 of a New Era podcast. My name is Hanson, better known as Fryddy Online, and I am joined by my dad and co-host here, the OG Frid. Dad, would you like to say hello to the listeners?
Yeah, good evening, listeners. Another evening podcast, unplanned, but technical difficulties on my part this morning. Yeah, darn Hurricane Helena, and I just want to start by saying, yes, we are a big Boston sports podcast and fan base between Fryddy and myself. Even though Fryddy spent more than or close to 2 decades down here since we've moved, we still love our Boston sports. But our thoughts, areas in the western part of the state that we vacationed to, I've attended conferences at. I know, Hanson, you've had events out in the mountains. It's just absolutely devastating to see some of the places that we've hung out, we've gone. I've had drinks and bars that are no longer there in the state, Nashville and Boone and all. And just, I know that we'll put out some information on ways to donate through our social media, but just hearts and thoughts to all those that are out there. It's devastating.
Yeah, definitely devastating. Definitely just terrible stuff to see. I'm still hearing stuff of like, this is now day 4 and they're still sending out ambulances and helicopters that are getting lost out there, and the death tolls are like rising, and that's not even confirmed stuff yet. So our thoughts and prayers are with everybody in the west side of the state, and maybe not just in North Carolina, but other states that had been affected by the hurricane this weekend. We're very lucky that we individually weren't hit that hard. But then, it doesn't stop as there's another one coming this weekend. So we hope everybody stays safe. Anybody that is a listener of ours out there and getting affected by this pretty badly. So Dad, you want to move on here to, also, way to fucking age me in there. You spent almost 2 decades down here now, fucking making me feel old. And we're not even 3 minutes into the podcast.
Well, I have to try and do something to, there will be we'll never ever close this age gap until I die. But, making you sound, I guess, a little old there.
It's a really depressing episode so far.
And it'll only get worse.
Continue.
and continue. Our Boston Red Sox season has ended.
Finally over. I know we were talking about it last week, and we said about the thing they needed to win out. Apparently we didn't need to do that. Even though we lost Tuesday, there was still like a 0.1% weird chance that we could have made it in. But after we lost on Tuesday, I think it was, that's when we knew, or Wednesday. I can't remember which day it was. I was tuned out. But we knew this was coming. We knew it was a long shot to get in there. But as we talked about last week, we have our other teams that we're going to be, rooting for, have some rooting interest in for the playoffs. But it does give us the chance, now that the season is officially over, to reflect back on our 81-81 2024 Boston Red Sox. The definition of mid, 81-81. exactly 500 on the season. However, like we've stated multiple times throughout the last couple episodes, we still think that this is a successful season. We
Yes.
were up until game 157, 158 with still a chance to make the playoffs when we didn't expect that at all. So we talked about earlier, we have 4 different like groups that we have our own grades for on the season, as well as 3, I guess you can say, awards. 2 of them are awards. 1 you don't want to be awarded.
Yeah.
But we'll go back and forth here and see. I feel like we're kind of going to be similar on some of these. But do you want to start off with your pitching staff grade? Keep in mind, this is just like our starters and the 5 that we were thrown out there in the normal week.
Yeah, I think that obviously starting off or running into that I don't think at the beginning of the season per se, because we're still 500, but what was in May, mid-May into June, just having some phenomenal. I mean, you put Tanner Houck in into the All-Star game. I don't think we expected this when we started back in February when we had our first ever sock podcast talking about them. Not well into spring training, but spring training had begun and we still hadn't talked about them. I'm going to give this staff, the starting staff, I think a solid, I'm going to give them a B to B minus.
Okay.
Over expecting, underachieving maybe after some great performances, throwing the cutters. I mean, everyone was throwing that cutter and doing well. But I think definitely came back to earth towards the end. But yeah, I'll give him a B. I'll give him a solid B.
Yeah, we're kind of right on the same path there. You said what, over expecting and underachieved? I think it might be flipped. I think we had lower expectations for this staff going into the year, and definitely, I mean, for the first half or 60% of the season before the All-Star break and a little bit after, they definitely were overachieving for us. But you know, as any player, any team is going to do over the course of an 162 game season, you're going to equal back out. And so I still feel like they finished above expectations. I don't feel like, you know, if they pitched the rest of the year like they were around the All-Star break, and like you said, when we had Houck into the All-Star game, at some point there, you know, we were even talking about it. The analytics were showing that he was 3rd in the AL Cy Young race. Definitely fell back throughout the rest of the year, obviously. But if they played at that level for the rest of the year, not only would we not be doing this right now, we'd be in the playoffs. But that's a solid A, potentially A plus. They came back down to earth though, like most teams do. But I had them on a B minus. So right there with you. To get me to a B, I don't even really know what it could be. It was maybe always just the inconsistency throughout the year with that 5th spot, with the the Criswells and the Dick Fitts and the Nick Pavettas and, you know, the guys that you were just kind of throwing around there, especially near the end of the year, just to be able to get back to Houck the day after. If the inconsistencies of that, if we found a more consistent guy, not even by the All-Star break, but by the start of August, I think this could get me up to a B, because then I think at that point we're also in the playoffs.
And I think too, a B could have been definitely if Bello, who though was positive this year, but shown maybe more at the beginning of the year, more that pitcher that we thought was going to be your ace, and it turned out to be Tanner. That might have maybe raised your opinions, I believe, a little bit.
I will say, didn't he start off kind of slow though? Then he went on a run.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So, okay.
If he would have started off like we expected him being the ace of the staff from what he had shown from years prior.
If he does that, this is a 90-win team.
Yeah. But you know what? He's only 25.
Exactly.
With Cutter and Tanner at 28, him at 25, and even seeing Quinn Prester, the kid that we grabbed out of Pittsburgh or from the Pirates in that trade, he's 24, and he kind of showed some stuff in that final game. So I think we have a nice young nucleus, a good spot. Obviously, do we bring back Pivetta? Do we get that other arm? Especially since I think Cutter is better in the bullpen.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I love Cutter and wouldn't mind throwing him out there as the 4 guy next year. But I think trying to rely on him as a top 3 starter is just a sign that your rotation's not where you want it to be. I mean, we've talked about this multiple times. Like, how could he was that ace for us this year, but even at his best, I think he fits perfectly into a number 2 starter role, and that still leaves us needing an ace. Can it be Bayo? Does he take that big jump this year so we don't have to go make a splash in free agency for pitching, even though I'm sure all the fans, we would definitely like that, and instead go after these Alex Bregmans or other DHs that we addressed last week? Or is it you're going to have to bring in this starter, but then you've got Bayo that still takes a jump, and then halfway through the year, you've got Houck and Bayo that you're like, both of these guys could be my day 2 guys. And then you've got a great 3, and then Cutter at the 4, potentially 5 if you pick up another guy, or switch around Pivetta in there if you bring him back. So no, I think we're fair.
Don't forget, Garrett Whitlock will be back as well.
Yeah, but he's still going to be coming off the injury. I think I don't think he'll start on the opening day roster. He'll be on, injured list for the first month maybe. And I think he'll probably just come back to the bullpen. I think him and Cutter would be better bullpen arms, but they would be elite bullpen arms if, for example, what did we pitch Cutter this year? 183 innings. If you can keep him, way below that,
80,
75,
90,
80, 90 at the best. Maybe same thing with Whitlock, but he's going 65 to 75. I think that's the perfect spot for them. And Cutter could have maybe maintained that pace that he was on when we were beefing him up earlier in the year about holy shit, this guy's being elite so far. All right. So we'll move on from the pitching staff to the lineup. This is just going to be your 1 through 9, the usual starters we had out there. We're not considering platoon and all that, or too many of the bench guys, but your usual starters, the guys that we could rely on most days throughout the year.
Yeah. And you know what? I because of injuries to prime positional players, and then, you had a lot of Hamiltons and Valdez's here and Sogards and Remy Gonzalez here and there, Tristan Casas being out for as long as he did, and, having Smith there for your first baseman for so long. But if we had the lineup at the end of this year, the last couple games for the entire season, with some of the production, I would probably, again, I think they did better than I even anticipated. I would probably, though, not grading them in the B's. I'm going to give them probably a C+.
Okay. That's fair. I was flip-flopping between the B's and the C's. And I ended up giving him a B flat, which is actually better than what I gave the pitching staff because of all the injuries and stuff like you're saying. I think there's a big difference in how they overproduced. Another example of the overproduction and under-expecting sort of thing that we just talked about with the pitching staff. Same thing with these guys, but I think even though, there were guys that got hot and cold, And at some points we were a little worried. You know, we had a whole conversation in, I don't know, fucking June, at the start of June, where we were like, how many runs does this team need to be down before you consider the game done?
Yep.
And we had said 3 runs. And then there was other times in this season where, you know, these guys were putting up 8-9 with like ease. And you're like, okay, well, what the hell? So definitely a lot of inconsistency there too. But you were carried by, you know, your big guy and Duran and Devers when he, you know, was hot and wasn't dealing with this injury that we shut him down for the season for. O'Neill when he was having that incredible run to start the year. Abreu was a good surprise for you throughout the year as well. So that's why I'm going to give him a B. I think it's a great groundwork for what we can turn this starting lineup into for 2025 and beyond. And I think it gives us a good idea of the guys that we're going to want to keep on this team, the positions that we are going to need to address this offseason before, you know, the big 4 make it up, big 5 make it up to the actual majors, to fill in those holes really, so that once we, you know, feel like those young guys are ready to get into this lineup and bring that sort of, you know, just energy and revival to this lineup where we might need it.
Yep.
The juice, that we're set up in the best position for them, so we can really maximize that window with, you know, Devers and Duran especially, getting up to where, you know, they're going to get into their prime soon, and we don't want to waste that with some of the good guys that we're going to have coming up as well. Okay, so next one, the bullpen.
The bullpen. You know, again, a lot of inconsistency. Obviously, we attacked it during the trade deadline, Lucas Sims and all. I would probably, I'm not going to say that they were definitely at fault. I mean, definitely fault at times, yes, for us to hold on to leads or keep them close, as we said, in that, you know, if we were down 3 runs at a portion of the season, we thought it was over. But I'm probably going to give them, I'll give them a C. A solid C.
Right on the dot. I was just about to say they are my worst rated group of the 4 that we have for this team, but I do have them right on a C as well. Yes, the inconsistencies with injuries and stuff I get. We were calling for a lot at the trade deadline, and we did get, you know, Sims and Garcia, which we were happy about at the time, only to realize now at the end of the year they combined for a 14.65 ERA. They shit the bed when they weren't good. They weren't what we needed. They honestly didn't help. We would have been better off without them, I think. But you know, and then you've got the drama of Kenley Jansen leaving this team early, and you know, the question marks about him to start the year. You get to the trade deadline, everybody's hush hush about it. He doesn't get moved. Then he ends up leaving the team early at the end of the season. You know, it's a bunch of bullshit that went into the bullpen this year. There were some bright spots. You know, like Cam Boozer had his moments. I like him. Chris Martin had his moments. Even Justin Slayton had his moments in there. But I mean, you can also see some of the stuff like this. Like, dude, we had Dominic Smith pitch 3 meaningless innings as a position player, and he has a 0.0 ERA on the year. He pitched 3 innings. He gave up 2 hits, and the 2 guys that we acquired at the trade deadline just get shell shocked. Like, I just don't understand. Maybe it was always meant to be like this, that the bullpen going into the year, I think we kind of knew was going to be, and then you get into there, you get to the trade deadline, you're asking for stuff and the injuries and all this. Maybe it was just always meant to be a bad bullpen year. But along with, you know, like we've talked about, the next steps for this offense and bringing up these younger guys and how easy it is really to correct this pitching staff with one big splash of an ace and potentially another guy, unless you want to keep your Cutters and Whitlock's up there or something next year. The bullpen is, once again, one that we're going to ask for help on. And I feel like we do this every year. And I mean, you can even look at some of for the last 5 years, I feel like the Yankees have had on paper one of the best bullpens in the league. Even the Guardians this year, great bullpen. But even then, the Yanks were getting fucking. There's some guy, Clark Schmidt, or I don't fucking know who he is, but he blows a bunch of games for him too. They can be your guys on paper. Maybe that's what they were looking at going into the year. Oh, these guys are going to be able to get us through a year, and it just doesn't happen like that. I definitely think, where the flashy fans are going to ask for the ace and for one big splash for the lineup to really try to fix this team. I think it would be better if we just stay with who we got, bring up some of the young guys. Maybe it is a guy, like you said, like a Justin Turner, or like I mentioned last episode, like a Christian Walker, who's not going to be as expensive as an Alex Bregman, but he could fill a hole really well in this offense. I feel like you try to find your good bargain guys for the lineup. I feel like you really, really have to pay attention to this bullpen, considering, some of the injuries we had to the starting lineup throughout the year as well.
Yeah.
And then you really look for that one guy, that one starter to hold up this team. But
the way that baseball has changed over these years. I mean, when I watched it way back when we had black and white, you would have your starter go 7-8 innings. You had your setup, and then you had your closer. And now the way baseball's set up, guys are under pitch counts or can only go 5 to 6. And now you need that middle reliever type. If and I'll get to this at the end, I watched a little of our the press conference that the Sox put on this afternoon. If money, which sounds like it is going to be an issue with these owners, if we're not going to be able to make a big splash for a starting pitcher and we leave what we have, pick up something else or get somebody, maybe Quinn Prester is somebody could fill a 5 role. I'd rather see.
We do get Giolito back too, our free agency from this last year. So it's like we're signing another guy.
I would rather us see some bullpen help and make some money in the bullpen, because that's where baseball is right now. You need that guy who is in the middle that can go 2-3 innings. And especially with this rule change where you have to be out there, right?
Yeah.
For X amount of hitters or batters.
I honestly, I feel like when I mentioned the Guardians bullpen earlier, they were one of the best in the league. But you look up and down that lineup, and there's your flashy Jose Ramirez, who is literally Rafael Devers for us. And then you got just a bunch of guys. We are the Cleveland Guardians with a bad bullpen. We could have easily been what they were and the surprise of a team that they were in the American League this year if we had a bullpen of their caliber. I truly believe that. Yep. So you go out and you try to spend some money to get some guys that can mimic that. And then whatever's left afterwards, or if, the owners are just going to be fucking cheap again, you hold up what you can with, bargain bin guys.
Yeah.
All right. Last one here, just so we can roll on to our last little bit about the Sox. Defensive grade as a whole. This is, everybody in the outfield, infield, your catcher, your pitcher's defensive ability. Just how good did you feel we played in the field, and how good were we at limiting the runs that we didn't need, errors wise and stuff like that throughout the year?
Well, I mean, we started off absolutely crap. And again, listening to the press conference, they think that defensively we need a lot of help to Craig was talking a lot where defensively we gave up many errors that caused runs. I think that was more at the beginning of the season. I think Alex's eyes probably rolled a little bit during that time that Craig was saying this. when you have a positional player like Sedane Rafaela that plays almost half and half in two of the most important positions on a diamond. And I think, finally started to settle in at shortstop, and then we move him out to center, where again he was phenomenal in making some amazing, which should have been Sports Center top 10 catches. I'm not going to put them in the D, where I think, you listen to media and you listen to the management, they would have been, but I'll give them again another C. I think that as time went on, they found, again, plug and playing many of these other guys. And my God, if our young stars come up, Worcester is going to be a fantastic place to watch some baseball next year.
Yeah. No, I think everything you said is correct. Yeah, I think if you listen to the media and stuff, they're going to try to make this a bigger thing than it is and worse than it is. Because if you're strictly like a box score watcher, you're looking at these stats like I'm looking at right now on ESPN. You see the Boston Red Sox at 29th out of 30th teams in the league at a 981 fielding percentage, 115 errors. That was only second to the Marlins at 117. Nothing else here I really want to see. But actually, surprising amount of assists too. Probably because of blown up plays and shit. But like you were saying, I think a lot of that too comes from, the way that the start of the year defensively was and how that's going to skew your stats no matter how good you are for the rest of the year. I definitely think we found some bright spots. We found, like you were saying, the versatility of Rafael is going to be a defensive weapon that we have now for, 8 years, 7 years, or however long we are going to keep him. And I think you definitely have some guys, Duran shined, he out there in the outfield. You're going to, like you said, have some guys be able to come up throughout the farm system. But I don't want to put them in the D. But I did say the bullpen was my lowest rated. I do have the defensive grade at a C+. I think the stats and everything will show you that they should be lower. But if you saw this game, if you saw it with your eyes, if you watched this team throughout the year, like you were saying, they started to get more back into a rhythm. They started to just feel more comfortable as a team out there in the field. That was the thing at first. How is this team going to fit, blah, blah, blah. And I think they needed to figure that out themselves too. They got back on a better roll near the end of the year. So I'm going to leave them with a C+.
I mean, when you look at that second base shortstop combination, how many did we throw out during the course of the year? It's probably 40. I'm just throwing out a number, but I mean, an unbelievable amount. And, you got to have a good combination for those double plays, which I'm sure, bobbled ball. I mean, heck, I was watching the highlights of the last game of the year, and there was a stupid little flip that Tampa Bay messed up to not record a double play. I mean, it can happen. And if you don't have consistency right there in the middle, it's going to happen. And we had so many players play those two positions, combinations. But yeah, I think if you watch the games as the game went on, or the games went on later in the season, defensively, they got a lot better.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so those are our grades for our 4 groupings for the team. Dad, we'll kind of fire through these. We've got 3 little awards, 2 of them good, 1 of them bad. We've got our most improved, we've got our team MVP, and we've got our most underwhelming. Dad, go ahead let's start out with most improved. Who do you have? I know there's a lot of guys that could compete for this year, but who do you have as the most improved?
Most improved is definitely our love affair of Jarren Duran. Without a doubt.
Well,
I think he's by far, especially since towards the end of the year before, there was talk about his lack of skill even in center field and his mentality towards playing the position, playing baseball. I don't think I saw this coming at all. I love the guy, even with his downfalls the year before. Just waiting for it, and I've seen it, and I think he's by far the most improved. To be able to do it for 160 games, yeah.
Yeah. I have Duran in here. I have 3 guys, but I only am going to pick one. The reason why I'm not picking Duran is, spoiler, I have him as the team MVP. I didn't want to give him both.
I have that there. Yeah, I have him there too.
Well, yeah. So I had I have it as Houck, though, to be able to step into that role as our one and have the year that he had, this year going 30 games. Yes, 9 and 10, but wins are not a pitcher stat. ERA of 3.12, 154 Ks on the year, 48 walks, 3.2 K to walk ratio, which is his second best in his career, the first best coming in 21. But he only threw 18 games that year, gave up 62 earned runs, 45 runs in total, 156 hits on the season. Last year, he was looking at 21 games, 6 and 10. I don't care about pitcher wins again. A 5.01 ERA, a whip of 1.37, whereas this year is 1.14. That was in 106 innings, 99 strikeouts in 106. We could see some of the upside in him last year, but there were also some of the blow-up games. I feel like he definitely did a much better job at limiting some of those. And then just starting off as hot as he did, I'm excited for him to get another offseason under his belt, knowing that he's going to be one of the guys to rely on in this rotation going forward. And I could really see him legitimately being able to make the whole 162 game push for potentially top 3 of the Cy Young next year, not falling out like he did, 70% of the way through the year.
That's a good pick.
So then MVP, like
I'm going again, Duran.
Yeah, it's the same reasons. Like I said, I probably would have given both. I wanted to not have him be both, but I mean, All-Star Game MVP. What else can you say? I mean, I could just leave it at that. And
and then again, history twice, never happened before in the American League or in baseball. The guy really is an absolute stud.
48 doubles, 14 triples, 21 homers, 75 RBIs, 34 stolen bases, 285 on the season with a 492 slugging and an 8.7 wins above replacement, which I'm pretty sure ended somewhere. I want to actually, let me see this.
And again, doing it with 160 games.
Yep.
That is another thing in baseball nowadays that you don't do. You're taking many days off, and he didn't want to take them.
There it is. He did finish top 5. Finished top 5 in the league in wins above replacement. Only guys above him: Gunnar Henderson at 8.9, Shohei at 9.2, Bobby Witt at 9.4, Aaron Judge at 10.8. So 8.7 for Duran. Incredible. And if you look at this, is great. Out of his 8.7, 6.2 of it was offense. That is lower than the top 5 guys, but defense: Aaron Judge minus 0.9. Bobby Witt, 1.2. Shohei, minus 1.7. Gunnar, 1.4. Jarren Duran, 2.5 from the defensive wins above replacement. Okay. And then the last one, the most underwhelming, the Mr. Shit award here. Who do you got?
You know what? Obviously, there's a couple of people we could have thrown out right now due to injury, but I'm not going to take those 2. And this might actually surprise you because I was probably expecting a lot more going into this season from this guy. Don't get me wrong. Still had an incredible production homer side with home runs. But I really think, and I do believe in sounding again from the management side, they'll want to have this guy come back next year. But Tyler O'Neill,
Yeah.
Yep, Mr. Biceps. I was hoping, watching some of the preseason, little stuff behind the scenes stuff that they had on YouTube about the Sox, which absolutely loved, enjoyed watching. I was just expecting a lot more from him. At those times where he could have picked them up even more, just seems to have that bat just too long and his swing too long and just too many strikeouts when I needed him to do something. So I'm going to say, and don't get me wrong, great year, great offensive numbers when he was there, but I needed to see it a little bit more consistency and less strikeouts.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's fair. I had him in there. I don't think I would name him most underwhelming, though. I've got a couple things for this. I know you mentioned the thing about injury. If I will blame one on injury, it would be Tristan Cassis, not because of what he did when on the field, just because of the disappointment of how long it dragged on and the uncertainty. Are we going to get him back? Are we going to make a move because we might need to fill it? That was really underwhelming, really disappointing there. But I'm gonna make an executive decision here and rule this as a complete one because they both had half seasons. So I'm gonna put them both together for one full season, and that's going to be Luis Garcia and Lucas Sims, our trade deadline acquisitions. You take both of their half seasons, combine them together. We're gonna get a full season there, and for guys that we're doing pretty decent. Luis Garcia was definitely doing better in LA than Lucas Sims was, I think. But then to get here and hopefully be the guys to keep us in that run-in and get us over that edge and just stink it up throughout the year, man. Throughout the end of the year, the most important ones. And for us to still be able to get to, 156, 157 still carrying is incredible. But I'm gonna sandwich them together. That's gonna be my number one most underwhelming.
Nice, like it.
All right, so that's all about the Red Sox. I guess we'll wait to talk about them again until like February. No, there will be some stuff throughout the off season that obviously
we hope
we'll bring up. Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully, it won't be as quiet as last year's was. All right, very brief thing here because we haven't talked about them in a little bit. And we're getting to that time where the season's getting ready to start. And the Boston Bruins still do not have Jeremy Swayman signed to a contract. I know we've been avoiding this topic for a little bit. And I feel like we had to finally bring this up. That new thing came out today. Apparently Swayman and his camp, I think, were asking for $64 million as the number. And it was reported 10:49 a.m. today that the Bruins have offered Swayman a $64 million contract. I don't know if that is the newest update as of like a new offer sent today or just the most recent one. Obviously there's no words yet on how the contract's broken up. I'm assuming it's 8x8. Everybody's assuming it's going to be 8x8. It seems like Swayman and his camp, they want to go above 8.8 or 8 for 8. They want to go maybe hit that 8.5, 9. The Bruins have made it firm that they're not going to go above 8. There's been times throughout this whole exchange in the offseason, I've been on Swayman's side. There's times I've been on the Bruins side and swap back. I'd like to know where you're at because personally right now, seeing this $64 million come along, knowing this is most likely an 8x8 contract, I think I'm back on the side of the Bruins. I love Swayman. I definitely want him to be our goalie of the future. But, if we are this close to a contract and, you're still putting up this much of a fight where we haven't seen you in a full season yet, you have played split time. You have been great, but you have played split time in what could just also be a very good defensive system. No disrespect to Allmark as a goalie either, but we made him he looked just as good. So I get the Bruins' frustration. I get Sweeney's frustration at this point. And I'm starting to get worried that Swayman might not be on the ice for opening night.
So watched a little presser that he had done or just talking to media and stuff. I'm going to say Jeremy Swayman is the cuckoo, wacky Tristan Cassis of the Red Sox in terms of how he's just spouting off at these press conferences. Again, you made the point. He split time for the last 2 years. Looked fantastic, but split time. You are now going to be the bulk. Take the bulk of these games, no matter who the backup is. It's not going to be that split time. And I understand you've done well and you want to set, as he said, I don't want to take something low because I want to set the standard for goalies going forward. But yet, in the end, if you want a number, don't worry how that number comes about. You know, if that number means you're not making what you want to make at $10 million a year and less time, and you're under contract for us for a longer bit of time, but you're still making the ultimate figure you want, take it.
Here's my thought.
You've seen us, have that number one goalie over the years, all of a sudden stand up and come in. I would rather you take the longevity of the contract and us get back to that, double and keep you healthy longer because we have that other kid ready to come up as well.
Yeah, Brandon Bussey.
Yep.
I didn't even notice this until I was reading right here. Sweeney said already it's unlikely for him to be ready to go for the regular season opener. And Montgomery confirmed Corpuzalo will be the starter against the Panthers on October 8th on opening night after a strong camp showing and a decent showing in the preseason so far. Here's my thought too about the whole, if it comes to, if you want to get that number and I want to set the standard, I get that. And don't get me wrong. You had, an unbelievable, playoff performance and year, and everybody's eyes were on Swayman because of this. Oh, young goalie, he could be the franchise guy here. I get what he's trying to do there. If this is that big of a deal, if you want that 8.5 or whatever it is, or 9 to, just to make that message and give that message out to the league. Look, he's 27. Don't get me wrong. Like, we could have him. If you go 8, that's fine. You got him to 35. I would be so much happier right now at this point. If it just gets it done, let's just take off 2 years, go 6 for 8.5, go 6 for 9. He gets out at 33. That gives you a good out at the Bruins if he potentially starts to fall off later into his 30s there. And quite frankly, if he still feels like he's worth it and he can still play for another 4 years on a decent contract, that gives you another opportunity to go hit free agency where you might still feel like you're just dipping out of your athletic peak. I don't understand why this hasn't been brought up, because I feel like that gets it done. A 6 for 9, like, I don't know. It really confuses me. I know both sides are sticking to their guns, but I think one of them's just got to realize this is the time to fucking put them down. This is the time to holster it. We have 9 days until we play hockey that matters. But I think both sides of this are just playing chicken here, and they're just waiting for the other one to put their walls down and be like, all right, fine, we'll cave.
Well, I mean, even at this point, if you say that Montgomery and everyone's already mentioned he's not ready for opening day, and he won't be, and we're already getting ready for
you're losing leverage.
The other guy, I mean, yeah.
And the team's losing leverage, or the team knows you're losing leverage at that point too.
Yep.
I don't know. I really would love to see him stay. I really want to get a Swayman jersey, man. I was really hoping this contract was going to be figured out. I could nail the freaking jersey, have it for 8 years. That'd be great. That number 1 on the goalie jersey is just sick. But I guess we will wait and see again. Next time we do one of these will be, was it the 7th? Yeah, the 7th next week. We will be literally the day before opening night, the day before the game. and hopefully we have better news.
Hey, so go. What were you going to say?
No, go on. I was just going to move us on here, but
well, quickly, how about this projected lineup? Yeah. So I found this. We have Zaka, Lindholm, and Pasternak, number one line. Marchand, Coyle, and Morgan Geekie, your second line. Frederick, Matthew Portis, and Justin Brazo, third, with Max Jones, John Beecher, and Mark Helsick as your fourth and checking line.
Okay. And then what about the defense?
The defense, I'm actually in love with the defense. Who's that guy? Nikita. Yeah. I'm not even going to try the last name.
I can't. Give it a shot.
Zadorova. Yeah. Zadorova.
So wait. I've heard this. Let me see it again. Zadorov. Dude, it's not
Zadorov. Okay. All right. Good. Zadorov and McAvoy. Lindholm and Carlo. And Mason Laurie and Andrew Pecky.
Okay. I don't want to overreact here.
What you're going
that might be the best team in the NHL. That every line just rolls off the tongue. That literally works.
Doesn't that defensive
so well.
pairing? Every defensive pairing, you have your offensive type guy with a strong defensive partner.
Yeah. And I think that's really great. Because of the fact I love McAvoy and Zadorov on the top one. This is going to allow McAvoy to play a little up more that he likes to make some try to be a little more involved when we're up there in the offensive zone, ripping some shots because they know that Zadorov can get back, be that enforcer, make a big hit that you need to give everybody enough time to get back and get settled defensively. That first line is going to be a menace.
As much as we loved seeing Lindholm and McAvoy together being puck handlers on the defensive end, for offense, they were defensive liabilities if one was pushed too high. By breaking that up and putting Lindholm with Carlo, I think is going to give him an unbelievable amount of opportunity to get offensively. And then the young kid, Mason Laurie and Andrew Pecky. Yeah.
Yeah. I really like that too. I wouldn't mind and wouldn't be surprised if some nights, obviously, they switch up pairings a lot too, but I like how these are looking. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point maybe Laurie moves up there with Lindholm to the second and Carlo moves down with Pecky on the third. But the only thing that worries me there is then you're putting out two right-handed defenders together and then two left-handed on the second line. If that can work out, if they test it in some games and see it could work out, I could really see those two lines also complementing each other decently, but I don't think they're going to.
I'm not worried about Laurie and his ice time because look at this first power play unit: Zaka, Lindholm, Marchand, Pasternak, and Charlie McAvoy. On power play unit 1, power play unit 2, you have Justin Brazo, Charlie Coyle, Matthew Portis, Morgan Geekie, and Mason Laurie.
Okay. It has nothing to do with the playing time why I would want to move him up. I'm just saying I could see it. But yeah, I mean the power play units, I think. No, yeah, that's perfect. I wouldn't mind Hampus being on the second, just as one of those guys, like you're saying, that can move around the puck at the top of the zone there for us, distribute pretty well. He's got instead of Geeky, because he's got a good eye for that. But that's fine. And then I don't really care about the PK units. Those are going to switch anyways. I'm looking at what you're looking at here, but okay, but no, I love it. Everything there. I'm so excited. And if Swayman was back in gold, that team really is going to be scary. But maybe even how the defense is looking with those lines, and maybe Corpuzalo is having a little career awakening here. And who knows? Maybe he's going to be just as good.
And how funny things work out, because we were worried you can't send down Brandon Bussey.
Yeah. Yeah, but that does mean if we sign Swayman, it's going to make for an awkward decision. Do you send the Corpuzalo down, the guy that's getting a lot of fucking money to be here after a decent preseason showing? Do you put Bussey down and hope that he doesn't get picked up on waivers, but he definitely is going to get grabbed and you lose him? Or do you not, get Swayman back? Do you get the draft pick compensation that you get for if he leaves? I don't know.
It's funny that it is looking like eventually it will work out, but I don't know. Maybe it's great that Korpisov is doing well. Maybe he can become
Corpuzalo.
He could become a potential trade bait early in the year if it takes
Maybe.
Swayman some time to get his feet back up.
Maybe it was the point that some people were making when we traded for him. That was like the Senators. I think it was. Yeah, the Senators have been trying to get rid of him for so long, and nobody would pick it up. That nobody would pick up his deal. So maybe it is something that he starts out the year strong, and his value goes up a little higher. They're like, oh, Bruins can sell him. Oh no, we brought him in here. He just had a couple games in off season with, seeing the defense like this. He's back. He's fixed. But I don't know. You run the risk of people being like, I'm not buying it. You guys just might be a really good system for any goalie that comes through. I'm not sure. We'll see, though. I mean, like I said, we got about a week.
Especially if Allmark does not start off hot.
Yeah.
Then
true.
it is a system. Which then tells me I really don't care if Jeremy wants to be here. It's a system.
Yeah. I don't want to
still have your
myself,
young Brandon Bussey.
I don't want to bring myself to that point yet and say that. But
I know. Just
isn't
like
it still? Didn't we go over this
with Tristan? We didn't want to get rid of Tristan.
No, not that. Oh. This is completely. I think these are different. But no, it might, if it's the same compensation that I know we talked about, like in an episode way back or something, at the start of the offseason, I believe. I think it was still including like 2 first-round picks. I gotta find this now. What did I say?
I mean,
restricted free agent compensation.
2 first-round picks for a guy who doesn't want to be here that potentially could be a system goalie. That would be amazing. Set you up for the future.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to find this again. I saw it like in a tweet, and of course I didn't save the tweet.
At the very least, he's probably worth 1 first-round pick.
I think so.
At the very least. Yeah,
I'm going to find this literally as soon as we get off this, because that's, of course, how this works. Oh, wait, is this it? Oh. That was only if a team offer sheeted him. Which if we just don't sign him, does he just release back into free agency? We probably wouldn't get it now because it's gone so long. It's the deadline.
Well, I would believe he's still under control with us. We just want to extend him.
I don't know if. Well, let's see. Can I just see his contract details? That's all I want. NHL reference. I'm not going to be able to find. Oh, here we go. Yeah, no, he's not under contract. He does not have a contract.
So
he's restricted free agent.
So even if someone offered, we'd still get that.
Okay.
I don't think anyone offered, probably because they figured he was still going to come back.
Maybe. I'd love to see how this
potentially
works.
So potentially he still has some leverage out there, but yet at what point who has the money under the cap to be able to do it?
I think Detroit is the one I'm hearing would be the only one. So this is what it is. If that's still applying, if he signs with somebody else north of $4.2 million, it's a first and a third. If it's north of $6.4 million, it gives a first, second, and third. And if it's north of 8.5, if he gets the contract he wants elsewhere, there's the number that he wants. 2 first, second, and a third.
Oh my goodness.
That's a haul. But I don't know. I still don't know how that works, so we'll have to look into that. But we'll just put the idea in our head because let's get delusional. All right, Dad. You want to talk about the Patriots?
Yeah, let's talk about the Patriots.
There's not much to talk about the Patriots.
No.
I'll be honest. I shut this game off. Where was it? I'm looking through the play thing here. We punted right here. 155. 4-play, 155 drive. Brissett incomplete. A short to Douglas. Lateral to Stevenson for 9. Kind of cool. But then a penalty. But a legal block above the waist on Thornton. Then Ramondre runs it for -7. Then Ramondre runs it for 4. I read that upside down. But I was like, bro, fuck this. I'm not doing this anymore. Box score watching, though. Jacoby, 19 for 32, 168, a touchdown, a pick. 6 sacks for 25 yards. Ramondre, 13 for 43 on the ground. Hasty, 3 for 15. Gibson, 6 for 12, so we couldn't get anything going there either. Gibson, 3 for 67 through the air. Polk, 3 for 30. He did have an incredible catch that I think was called back. They said it was incomplete, but he posted something on Twitter about it, and I saw the play. I was like, wait, that was definitely a catch. I think he got robbed there. Ramondre, 4 for 19. Hooper, 2 for 13 and a touchdown. DeMario, 3 for 13. Henry, 2 for 12. And Butte, 1 for 11. KJ, 1 for 3. Yikes.
It's you just look at the average outside of Antonio Gibson and, yes, our number one pick there in Polk, but yet, 4.8, 4.3, 6.5. Yes, you passed around to 8 different people, but there's no downfield. I just don't think Jacoby is too happy foot, and yet I don't think he has the arm strength to push it down the field.
That's 100% it. That's what I was going to say. I think it's the arm strength. I think he's fine. He is content with these little dink and dunk things. I don't think we're going to see any downfield shots or anything, adding any more, vertical aspect to this offense until Drake gets in there. But, at the same time, holy shit, I would give a limb for a competent O-line. I don't want Drake behind that O-line. They look fucking terrible again this week. So it's like, it's only going to get better if we break Dre May in, but if we bring Drake May in right now, he might fucking die. So what do you do?
Yeah, injury plagues the O-line. the inconsistency of having to flip people or putting people in spots that they're not the best at. Obviously, we are missing Cole Strange tremendously. And I wonder if once he is healthy and comes back, we won't see Drake May in until a couple games after that point. So if Cole be able to come back week 6, week 7, get him a game in 2, then we'll see Drake, and maybe we'll see an offense that opens up the run game and we can throw vertically. But yeah, we're missing that piece, which will then put people where they need to be.
Also, defensively, it hadn't really been evident weeks 1 through 3 here because you not facing teams or were in game scripts that just allowed the other team to pound the rock like the 49ers did. But we got fucking torn apart on the ground. We looked like our run defense did last year. They were really bad against the run last year. And I just went to go look through the 3 box scores week 1 and week 3, and you'll see there's still some concerning yards per carry there for some of the running backs, some of them being like a committee, like the Bengals had week 1. That was also a weird game. You got the Seahawks week 2. It was just Charbonnet, but that's because Walker was hurt. So his 2.7, I think it was, yards per carry, 2.9. I don't know if I take that so much as a win. I think that's more the Seahawks. Yeah, and if you watch that game, it was a lot closer than it needed to be. The Seahawks were throwing more than they probably anticipated they were going to be against the Patriots. And then you probably go into that game with the game plan being, if Walker's hurt, maybe we abandon the run a little more and just try to fucking burn this team out of the building early. That's not what happened. And then last week too, Braylon Allen had like 55 on 11 carries. And I think Breece Hall is up there too, north of at least 4.2 yards per carry, somewhere around there. We're getting torn apart. And it's bad when you have to have the conversation of which is worse right now. Is it the D-line or is the O-line? And the O-line is really bad, but the defensive line is, outside of Keon White, is making me start thinking about it too.
Yeah. That's why I think we need to bring back Lawrence Guy back. Need to have a veteran presence defensively there. Interesting stat that I pull up here, that time of possession, 31-35 to the 49ers, while we had it for 28-25. Not that much different in time of possession, but yet passing yards and total yards, 431 to 216 and 283 to 143.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
So it's amazing that we were close to them in time of possession, but yet not even close in total yards or passing yards. Now, rushing yards too, 148 to 73. But yeah, you look yards per play, 7.2 to our 3.5.
Just not going to win football games like that.
No. And I saw something again today on YouTube that we're mentioning, is it time to tank?
Not yet.
Not yet. No.
Let's get another week down, and then we can have that conversation next week, which I still think is too early. But all right. Anything else you got about them before we very quickly go through the rest of the week?
No. Need to see some better offensive performances.
Got you. I feel like we can try to make this like, what was it, like Beamer's 3-minute rundown or whatever we would do.
Oh, yeah.
All night.
The fastest 2 minutes in football.
The fastest 2 minutes in football. There's no way we're going to get that. But we'll try to run through it. Dallas and the Giants Thursday night. Pretty shitty game. Low-key. Dallas stayed in this. Or the Giants stayed in this a lot closer than they should have. Are the Dallas Cowboys really just not that good, or are the New York Giants potentially going to give some teams a run for their money this year?
I think it was the rivalry. It was that. I don't think the Giants are going to give anyone any run at all. And I just think the Cowboys, which they probably are, a team that will play down to the competition and just
absolutely
barely make it up.
I like the take. Moving on, New Orleans at Atlanta, 26-24. Atlanta pulls it out off an incredible field goal. Younghoe Koo had a fucking day. It's the year of the kicker once again. Another one of these tight divisional matchups between these teams. Anything surprise you here? Did you watch this one?
I didn't watch this one. Didn't have many games, and then did some pickup soccer, and didn't want to watch football because, again, I said the week before I was disgusted with the NFL. But I did think that Atlanta would win in their home turf, which they did.
All right. Rams traveled to Chicago. Caleb Williams picks up his second win for the Bears and his second win at home. They're 2-0 in Soldier Field, 24-18. Bears pull it out. Caleb looking decent? Question mark?
Yeah, I'd say he looks decent. He's, starting to feel more comfortable there. But again, it's at home. I want to see him continue this progression out on the road and see if he can do it. Little surprised that the Rams didn't put up more. I thought the Rams would.
Oh, I had Chicago all week. I thought this was a Chicago win, and it turns out it was. Moving on to what may have potentially been the best game of the weekend just because of how close it got. Vikings 31-29 over the Packers, although they went up 28-7 at one point before the half. Green Bay and Jordan Love in his return, 389 passing yards in the air to try to bring the Packers back, but they just fall short in Lambeau.
Sam Darnold is the quarterback we thought he was always out of USC. He's incredible.
Sam Darnold is the
MVP.
truth MVP. He is the Geck Bus. Yeah. Moving on to what I thought was going to be the shitter game of the week, and it kind of was just in its own ways. Pittsburgh at Indianapolis. Colts 27-24 as the Pittsburgh Steelers tried to come back from down 2 touchdowns in the fourth, I believe, but just couldn't pull it out. The Steelers fall from the ranks of the undefeated. Justin Fields, 312 yards through the air, 1 touchdown, 2 rushing touchdowns on the ground, still gets a loss. What's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, Justin Field, absolutely does Chicago go, he was the man, and now he should still be our man, and they could have done something else and not taken Caleb, but do not, I'm going to say this to all you listeners that are younger than I am, much younger than I am, do not put down those old geezers. Joe Flacco can win.
Joe Flacco, still elite, can win games. Moving on to the actual shitter game of the week, but everybody take a moment and please laugh with us as the Jets find another way to jet it up and lose a game, 10-9 to the Denver Broncos. This was pathetic. Bo Nix had literally negative yards in his stat line at halftime, and the Jets still found a way to lose this game. And the Broncos, surprising now, 2-2. That's 2 straight for them. What the fuck happened here?
I told you, everyone is up on these Jets, and they're just going to find a way to lose. They are the Jets.
Death, Texas,
they're not going to
win.
win.
New York Jets being the New York Jets.
Yes.
They
proved it right there.
Yeah, probably the easiest upset call of the week because I'm pretty sure the wrong team was favored here. Philadelphia went into Tampa Bay, and Baker Mayfield put his nuts all over their face again. 33-16, Bucks beat the Birds. Eagles, not good. Nick Sirianni, how many more weeks does he have before he's fired?
Nick will be gone by week 4, or in 4 more weeks.
Yeah, I do not see a world in which he finishes the year as the Philadelphia Eagles head coach. Next one, Bengals rolling into Carolina, 34-24. Carolina had a run here at the end to try to close this gap and try to, get within punching distance of covering that spread. But Cincinnati needed the win and got it. Defense still not looking as good as it should be, but Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase doing what they need to get these Bengals their first win of the season.
Yeah. Again, a must win. They had to play much harder than the Panthers, although the Panthers rejuvenated with another old geezer and Andy Dalton. I thought Andy would want to show it in Cincinnati's face, but could not do it. But thank you, Chuba Hubbard, for continuing to be my lead back in my fantasy football.
Yeah, he got me some good points in the league too. Picked him up on the waiver wire last week. Next game, Jacksonville into Houston. Houston pulls it out 24-20, had to make a comeback. Trevor Lawrence has still not won a game since the last Thanksgiving. We love these divisional games in the AFC South. CJ Stroud is still him, and the Texans and Nico Collins are good.
Yeah, and obviously with Tank Dell going down early or being called out, not playing in that game, it doesn't matter. Nico Collins, and I'm kicking myself that I got rid of him in fantasy as well. I had him. Man, that guy, great former Michigan player, and CJ Stroud. Look at that Big Ten that combination right there, huh?
Yeah, I know. They go from enemies across the sideline from each other in the big game to now putting up 151 through the air and like 11 catches in the touchdown too. Moving on, Washington at Arizona to start the 4 p.m. slate. Washington, Jaden Daniels, 42 points on the Cardinals' head. Jaden Daniels is the truth. Cards maybe not as good as we thought.
I agree. Cards not as good. And Jaden Daniels is the CJ Stroud of this draft class.
Might be worth putting in a. I looked at it last week. Nice little future parlay here. Commanders to win the NFC East, Vikings to win the NFC North. I'm sure the NFC North odds went down after they won this week, but might be something fun to root for. We're not going to talk about the Patriots and the San Francisco 49ers. We just did that. That was an ass whooping. Cleveland goes into Las Vegas, and Vegas defends their home turf 20-16. I think we both picked the Raiders in this one, knew it was coming, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Gardner Minshew. Man, what a quarterback, huh? What a better guy to be leading the Raiders than Gardner Minshew.
What a guy, man. ECU. All right. Kansas City at the Chargers. Chiefs gonna be the Chiefs and still just fucking win these games, and we hate them, and I picked the Chargers, and I want to see them lose 17-10 over the Chargers. Travis Kelce finally had a revival game here. Maybe Taylor Swift was chewing his ass out a little too much at home.
Yeah, she was definitely yelling at him. And Patrick finally said, okay, I'll throw you the ball. Amazing how this team, even putting up these offensive numbers that they have, still finding a way to win these games, ref or no ref.
Kareem Hunt, also the rushing leader, 14 for 69 yards. Rest in peace to everybody that went and got Carson Steele on the waiver wires last week. That was me too. Okay, last game.
And I got Kareem.
Yep. Sunday Night Football, Buffalo at Baltimore. Baltimore 35-10. This is also another must-win for them because of the way they've started out. But wow, they rolled over Buffalo. I thought this one was going to be a little closer, right?
I did too. Really shocking. But, when you start off the day with Derrick Henry running for an 89-yard scamper, it's going to be a long day.
Yeah, he might be the greatest running back in the history of the NFL. I don't know. There was a conversation about it on some Barstool thing, I think, earlier. And I know it was supposed to be a joke, but then I started thinking. And that'll wrap up our rundown. That was not 3 minutes, but that was quicker than I expected it to be. So that's not bad.
I liked it. It was good. I liked it.
Yeah? Okay, cool. Then let's go do the same thing for college football, and then we'll make our picks for this upcoming week. Okay. Week 5. Here we go. Friday night. Miami, Virginia Tech. This one is important. Miami 38-34 pulls it off. Virginia Tech gave them a bit of a scare, and controversial final play. I thought he maybe caught the Hail Mary, but I guess not. I'm happy he didn't. I had Miami money line and a couple things. Did you see this game?
No, I didn't, but I thought Virginia Tech was going to play them a lot closer. And, yep, actually happened to happen.
Happened to happen. All right, we'll move on. We're not even going to go over all of these, but Kentucky goes into Ole Miss, upsets them with that ground and pound, run down the clock sort of thing, 20-17. First win in Oxford since 1978. I think it's their first ranked upset on the road since 1974 or something as well. Kind of funny stuff.
Everyone said Ole Miss had an easy schedule, easy way to get into the college football playoffs. Last I heard earlier in the week, and I wonder if this is true, Lane Kiffin is looking at the Atlantic coast and Florida.
Yep, I heard that as well, and I could see it happening. Moving on here, we got Penn State, number 9 Penn State, number 19 Illinois. Penn State 21-7. I think we all knew Penn State was going to win this game, but it was an 18.5 point spread. Definitely way too many points. I was on the Illinois side there, but nothing too crazy, I don't think, out of this game.
No. I think Illinois is showing, they may be the Iowa of last year and more defensive team, hoping to try and keep, teams low in scoring and see how they might be able to do something offensively.
Moving on here, Arizona goes into Utah after they just lost their rank, I think, last week because of that loss to Kansas State. Go in there and upset Utah 23-10. Granted, Utah still without Cam Rising, but Zach Wilson's brother, nonetheless, just going to bring them to a loss. Arizona, are they back? Just a little slip up against Kansas State 2 weeks ago.
I don't think they're back. I think it was an emotional game the week before for Utah. And again, not without their captain, but no, I think Utah is still going to be a strong team in their conference, and the conference goes through them. And yeah, it was just a weak performance from them off an emotional win the last week.
Gotcha. Great game here. Louisville goes into Notre Dame, and touchdown Jesus saves Notre Dame 34-21. They relied on a last-minute defensive stand to hand the Cardinals the first loss of the season. They held off the comeback, though, as Louisville tried to get back in there. Great game. Louisville almost got it done, and just same team that I think they are, and going to be still a threat in that ACC a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at that division, there's nobody, I don't think, clear cut. I mean, Clemson again put up some points, and obviously we said, you said at the beginning of the year you thought it was NC State. Clemson is showing some muscle, but I think Louisville will be that close team in the ACC. And Notre Dame, hey, they have to start to win to be able to try and get that number 5 spot locked up.
Oklahoma State, number 20, goes into number 23, Kansas State. Kansas State trying to rebound off their loss to BYU last week, and they did it in big fashion, 42-20 over Oklahoma State. Avery Johnson, 5 total touchdowns. Great game there. Is that what you want to see from them after that pretty disappointing game last week?
Oh, absolutely. And Kansas State, I mean, again, growing up, watching them, they were a laughing stock of college football. And they need to keep on putting double-digit wins on teams to prove that they're a good powerhouse team.
Yep. And then last one here, the game of potentially the season, Georgia, Alabama. Alabama goes up very early, 21-0. I think at one point it was maybe 28. I'm not looking at the score. In the first half.
Yeah.
Well, first quarter was 21-0. Ended 21-0. But Georgia found a way to get back in this game and made it. Holy shit, man. The last 3 minutes of that game where you get Georgia gets the pass, the 67-yard touchdown or something, gives them the lead. And then right back next play, the 17-year-old sensation, Ryan Williams, who is just going to be such a dog once he gets to the league, just makes an unbelievable play. I think that was, if you didn't already know the name, now you know him. That was his welcome to college football stardom moment. And Alabama holds on 41-34 after intercepting Carson Beck in the back of the end zone to end it on their final drive. Holy shit.
Yeah, absolute game. I don't know what other game, unless it is the national final, is going to be this exciting, especially when it looked at the beginning like a total blowout, and then Georgia being who they are, just right so close, and absolute great game. And yeah, Jalen Milroe, and yeah, that kid, can you believe he's going to be 19, maybe at least 20 years old in the NFL?
Yeah, I'm gonna start tanking my dynasty teams now so I can take him number 1 overall in 2027. All right, moving on. Week 6 of college football picks. I'm only going to go through a few of these games. The ones that deserve our attention are some lines that I see, and we're going to start off with number 9 Missouri at number 25 Texas A&M, noon on ABC. Texas A&M favored by 2 points, over under 48.5.
I would take Texas A&M. Yeah, Missouri's been looking, number 9 spot, but I think Missouri is going to fall victim to the Ole Miss thing this week, and they will lose.
Yeah, I would want to go Missouri here. I bet against Texas A&M when Notre Dame went into their first week of the season and beat them. But I just don't know if I'm going to trust it again. Big SEC game. Give me A&M -2. Moving on, SMU at Louisville. SMU, who just put another ass whooping on Florida State. God, it is so funny to see them be so bad. We got Louisville -7 points, though, over under 57.5. Me personally, I am loving Louisville. But I feel like right now, this SMU team, that's too many points, man. I think I might take SMU +7, maybe see if this game stays a little close.
Yeah, if we're going, point right there, I'd probably take the over, because definitely this will be an over game.
Yeah. Iowa at number 3, Ohio State. Ohio State -20.5 point favorites. Over under set at 44.5.
I'll take Iowa State and all those points. They're going to want to flex some muscle.
Not Iowa State.
Huh?
Iowa State and Ohio State.
Oh,
or Iowa at Ohio State. Sorry.
Yeah. Ohio. I'm sorry. Ohio
Okay.
State. Take those points, because at this point, Texas is looking fantastic. Alabama now ranked number 1 because of their win over Georgia. Iowa State is going to sit back and go, what do we have to do? Do we have to put up 30, 40 points? And they'll try and do that this week.
Yeah, I just worry because of the type of game that Iowa plays. Could be, just defensive and stuff. But I might look at a Ohio State team total, or maybe I might just go with the -21 and hope they do it. They are looking good, though. They're making me some money. All right, moving on. Auburn at number 5, Georgia. Georgia -24, over under 53.5.
I think I'd probably take the under. Georgia will win, but I might take the under.
Yeah, I'm going to take the under here as well. Auburn's not looking good. I think Georgia just kind of runs the ball. I don't think they run it up here. Or maybe they actually, I don't know. Maybe they do. After that big emotional loss, you're back at home in Athens. Actually, fuck it. Give me the Georgia -24. I'm not even going to go over these. Nah, I'm not doing the easy game. I don't care. Alabama at Vanderbilt. Alabama minus 23 over under 65.5. Wait, no, over under 55.5.
23, you said 23.5?
No, 23, yeah.
23. I'm taking Vanderbilt.
I'll take Alabama. I'll take Alabama. Tennessee at Arkansas. Tennessee minus 13.5 over under 59.5.
Oh, God, Tennessee.
Yeah, give me Tennessee to roll. Number 10, Michigan at Washington. Washington favored by 2.5 points over under 40.5.
Michigan has to go out in that beautiful ballpark out there in Washington. I think Washington does win, handles this one.
I don't know, but give me the under. That's weird. I don't know why Washington's favored here. I know Michigan hasn't been that good, but I don't know. Okay. And then fuck it. Number 8, Miami at California. Miami minus 11.5, 54.5. Number 8 team is fucking kicking off at 10:30 here in California. Thanks for that, ACC. Who you got in this one? This is so stupid to me.
I absolutely love ACC after dark. I think even though Miami has to travel all the way over to California, probably not used to this, but stay with Miami.
Bounce back game. They're going to fucking roll. All right. Now, NFL. You ready? Speedy. Thursday night, Bucks at Falcons. Falcons minus 1.5 over under 43.5. Tampa Bay. Sunday, Dolphins at Patriots. Dolphins minus 1 over under 35.5.
I think Tyler Huntley, he's going to try, but no, this will be Patriots win number 2.
Yep. Give me Patriots at home to get their first home win. Miami's just not going to do it. I skipped the 9:30 game. Jets at Vikings in London. Minnesota minus 2.5 over under 40.5.
Even though this is going to be what could be Minnesota's first outdoor game, or they've already played against Green Bay outside. Oh yeah, because
they were outside in Green Bay.
The outside there, but the Jets again are gonna fumble. They probably will think this game is actually in Germany or something. Yeah, or go to the wrong damn stadium. Jets will find a way to lose this. It's the Vikings.
Yeah, I'm sick of pretending that the Jets are good. They're just not. This spread is way too low. It's the Vikings, and it's under 40.5, I think. All right, Panthers at the Bears. Bears minus 3.5 over under 41.5.
Caleb Williams at home. Got to keep it that way. Take the Bears.
Yep. Yeah, take the Bears. Duh, Bears. I might take the over in this game too, actually. 41.5. I feel like that should be higher. Ravens at the Bengals. Baltimore favored by 2.5 over under 50.5.
We already saw week 1 what the running game of the Patriots did to the Bengals. Will happen again. Baltimore.
I don't know. This could be a weird one. I think it's got the ability to be a weird game, but give me the under 50.5. I think that's way too high. Browns at Commanders. Washington favored by 3 points over under 43.5.
Jaden Daniels continues to look like Deshaun Watson when he was a rookie. They will win.
Yeah, give me Washington minus 3. Oh my God, I love some of the lines this week. And that probably is a bad thing because when I love the lines, they're probably always wrong. Colts at Jaguars. Jaguars favored by 3 points over under 46.5.
You know what? As much as we just said Trevor hasn't won since Turkey Day last year, the Colts, quarterback situation, injury. No, I think the Jaguars will win this one.
Yeah, I also think the Jaguars pull this out. I might just go money line. I don't know about the spread, but I think don't put too much stock into the Colts beating the Steelers. They have not looked offensively in the first 2 weeks or 3 weeks like they did this week. It was weird, and against the best defense in the NFL up until that point was a fluky game. I don't think they're good. Jaguars get their first win. Bills at Texans. Texans favored by 1.5 points. Over under 46.5.
As much as the Texans have
Stephon
been
Diggs
doing,
revenge game.
Yep, and as much as if Tank Dell's injured, and I don't think the Bills' defense and especially their secondary can handle Nico, I just think Josh Allen is going to have a game. I'm taking my Buffalo Bills.
Give me Stephon Diggs anytime touchdown. And nothing else. I don't know. I can't wait to watch this game, though. I think this will be good. Raiders at the Broncos. Broncos favored by 3 points, over under 36.5.
I would probably take a under offensive production in this game if that's actually something we can choose. I think this is going to be like a 13-12 game.
Then it sounds like we're both on the under. Cardinals at 49ers. 49ers minus 7.5, over under 50.5.
You know what? That's a lot. Probably the 49ers showing what they did against the Patriots, but the vaunted Patriot defense that we thought was going to keep this team alive didn't show up. And the Cardinals, no, I don't think they have a defense either. So 49ers.
I don't know. I think this is a prime bounce back letdown spot. Niners come back home, or they stay at home second week there, and you let down after a big win. Commanders went out there and beat the shit out of the Cardinals. They're going to want to bounce back a little bit. I think I'm going to take Cardinals plus 7.5. I don't know if I'll have them win it, though. We got the Packers at the Rams. Packers minus 3.5, over under 47.5.
I'm going to take the over.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a weird number. I wouldn't mind the over. I might take an alternate like 46.5 to get a key number. But at home, fuck, man, the Rams have looked really bad and they have nobody. But no, give me the Packers. Give me Packers money line. I'm not going to deal with the spread there, though. 3.5 is weird to me. Giants at Seahawks. Seahawks minus 6, over under 41.5.
6. I mean, that's a lot, especially with that offense. I'll probably take the under.
It all depends on if Malik Neighbors is playing. He does have 10 days since getting his concussion to try to come back. We don't know yet, but I would say if Malik Neighbors is in, give me the Giants plus 6. I don't think they win it, but I think that's a lot of points. But if Neighbors is out, going to Seattle from New York for the Giants, that's a bad trip. I think you take Seattle minus 6, even though it is a lot of points. And then Sunday night, we got Cowboys at Steelers. Steelers minus 2.5. Oh, wait. Yeah. Whoa. Over under 42.5. Oh. I think I'm taking the boys.
Yep.
Plus 2.5. 2. I'll take the points.
Yeah. And I'd probably take the under because I think this is going to be, again, Steelers defense has been number 1 rated, hiccup from last week, but I think Cowboys will play down to that offensive production. It'll be a Cowboys but under game.
Yep, I like everything about that. And then the last game of next week, because we have the Lions, Titans, Eagles, Chargers on bye. Saints at Chiefs. Chiefs minus 5, over under 42.5.
Definitely Kansas City. They'll find another way to win.
Give me the fucking Saints plus 5. I'm just going to keep doing this until they lose. I just hate Kansas City. I know I'm not even right here, but at this point, I don't fucking care. Give me the Saints plus 5. Let's ride for an underdog on a Monday night. All right, and that's it, Dan. That was a good.
Yeah,
we pushed through those pretty quick. We're trying to figure out. We talked about this earlier, listeners, in the day. We're trying to figure out our timing and like our pacing of certain segments now because of the fact that we're going to get into the point where we're going to have football. We're going to have the Pats. We're going to have the Bruins. We're going to have the Celtics, and we're going to have college football. A lot to talk about, and potentially off-season stuff that goes on for the Red Sox. A lot of shit to talk about, so we're trying to change that up.
Yeah. I did like that pace. I did like that. That was fun.
Yeah, we were moving and grooving. All right. Well, Dad, you got anything you would like to say to the listeners before we get on out of here?
Well, I know that we do have some listeners in Greenville, North Carolina. How did you feel about your ECU Pirates?
It was fine. It was fine. We were favored by like 3.5. I mean, we covered. I don't know. I'm just not going to be happy with this team until I see them put an ass whooping on somebody. And that wasn't this week.
Enough said.
Yeah, that's all I got. All right. Well, listeners, we appreciate you guys taking the time to listen into episode 39 here of a New Era podcast. Make sure to follow us over on our social media if you'd like to keep up with some of our stuff when you're not listening to our new episodes every Monday. At A New Era Podcast on Instagram and Twitter, A New Era Podcast on Facebook, and A New Era Podcast at gmail.com. If you would like to email us any questions, concerns, or funny business, we appreciate all of you guys, and we'll catch you next week for episode 40, the big F, or I was about to say the big F-O, the big 4-0.
Yeah, we're getting to my age. All these episodes getting up to my age. My God. Love you, son.
Love you, Dad.